What do you do when people that you love the most, like your father, your partner, or even other family members, refuse to meet you emotionally? When instead of growth, you're met with gaslighting, deflection, or the silent treatment? I know that reality way too deeply. My father leaned on weaponized incompetence, emotional immaturity, or deflection as his tools. And I had to learn through therapy, through God, and through healing, really how to parent myself emotionally. So today, I want to give you the language, the discernment, and the wisdom so you don't get stuck in the same cycle. Growing up, so many of us had to become adults long before we were ready. Hyper independence forced us to grow emotionally fast. You learn how to scan a room for danger. You learn you can't rely on your parents emotionally. And you end up building your own survival system. And sometimes it's at the cost of your peace. That's emotional self-parenting. And it's learning to meet your own needs because the people who you should just weren't able to. Spotting the pattern. So what happens when you finally try to address your needs? In my personal experience, when I tried to ask my father for emotional availability, I wasn't necessarily met with the growth that I was looking for. Instead, I was met with gaslighting, with blame shifting, or the devil's advocate debates, with silent tactical power games. This is what we call weaponized incompetence. When someone pretends they cannot change, that they just can't improve, or they cannot meet you. So that burden of that growth stays on you. This is exactly why I created my free worksheet on weaponized incompetence. When helplessness is controlled. So you can name it clearly and you can stop getting drained by their actions. The question then becomes, so what do you do with that truth? My advice to young women and my younger self is to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. You cannot force emotional growth on someone, period. A man's journey with masculinity, communication, and emotional intelligence is all of his own. Your job is not to drag him along. Your job is to protect your energy, your boundaries, and your growth. It's the same reason why they tell you on an airplane to put your oxygen mask on before helping others. Because if you are gasping for air, you cannot save anyone else. Self-preservation is not selfish. It's survival. It looks like refusing to argue with someone who is stagnant. It looks like accepting the lack of capacity in a parent or a partner and choosing instead to invest into relationships that honor you, that respect your boundaries, and honestly, that just pour back into you without hardship. It looks like releasing that disappointment in failed relationships and just celebrating the growth in you. Because when a man hasn't yet grown past the stereotypes of masculinity, he often finds power in draining the energy of the women around him. But your creativity, your peace, your joy, that's too sacred to hand over. This is what I teach inside my Reclaim Your Power course. Basically, how to stop feeding cycles of emotional immaturity and instead step fully into your own voice, your own vision, and your God-given authority. So hear me clearly. God never leaves you in confusion. Joseph prospered in Egypt, and Daniel prayed in Babylon. And you can heal even in environments that do not yet look like your growth. Your job is not to save them. Your job is to preserve you. So if this spoke to you, download my free weaponized incompetence worksheet below. And if you're truly ready to dive deeper, join me in the Reclaim Your Power course, because your healing is not at all optional. It's essential. And the small sacred acts you practice now are your declaration of faith.